Hi everyone, it's Celeste. Welcome to my BookTube channel, A Reader's Almanac with Celeste. Well, I am back from the trip to the Cape May and Jersey Shore and Wildwood, New Jersey, and my son had a wonderful time. The trip was primarily for my son because he loves the boardwalk and the ocean, and we had a lot of fun doing things like going on the boardwalk after dinner at night and playing skee ball and going up on the Ferris wheel and getting ice cream and all of the fun summer stuff that you do. So I just wanted to share with you some of the highlights from our vacation. I took some video footage and some stills that I wanted to share with you, and some of the places we went, and then also to let you know how I ended up doing with my reading plans and what books I ended up reading. So I'm here on one of the walkways to the ocean, and it's our last day. We're packing up and we're going to be going home this morning. We've had a really good time, and as they say, it's wonderful to go away, but it's also wonderful to come home. And I think we've all had a wonderful trip, but we're ready to pack it in and come home. It's a beautiful warm day here. We've done lots of things. We went to Cape May, which was really fun for me. I think that was my favorite part. And we saw the Cape May Lighthouse. We visited one of the protected beaches at the lighthouse. We visited the Harriet Tubman museum and heard about her life. And Harriet Tubman is one of my heroes, and she has a number of ties to New York State as well, and her story is fascinating. And because I have abolitionists in my family from the Underground Railroad era, and also some Black and Native American peoples in our ancestry who were also abolitionists and suffragettes. I'm really thrilled whenever I get an opportunity to learn more about that history. So we went to the Harriet Tubman Museum and the Underground Railroad Trail and Lafayette Street in Cape May. And what else? I've also been enjoying A Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. As I think I had mentioned in the past, that book has some very sad ties to Cape May, because that's where the search for the Lindbergh baby took place. But the beaches are absolutely lovely, and the old Victorian architecture and the gingerbread houses and all of that. So we really had a good time there. So as I was mentioning from the footage on my last day on the beach that you just saw there, some books I was successful with and others I ended up DNFing. One that might come as a surprise to many people, and I know what you're going to say, but here's one I DNF'd. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I could not for the life of me get into this book, and I'm sorry. I know it's the Barnes and Noble Book of the Year, and it's won lots of awards and everything, but I think it had something to do with the prose style. I just could not get into it. It did not grab me. You know how you're reading a book and you read the first few pages and you're kind of not really interested and your attention is wandering, and so you come back to it and you vow you're going to read at least a few chapters, and so I did. She's definitely a talented writer. I think it's me. It just wasn't my thing, or maybe this is just the wrong time of the year that I'm trying to pick this up. I had hoped it was going to be like the perfect vacation, summer beach read, and I really have been in quite a 1960s, mid-century vibe. And reading about women and their lives and everything, but I don't know. It just didn't happen for me. I will hold on to this book and listen to the reviews of others on this book, but I DNF'd it really early on, to the point where I did not even open it once I was actually on vacation. It stayed in the tote bag the whole time, and it's a fairly heavy little book here. So so I did not finish Lessons in Chemistry. That being said, I also had high hopes for The Green Gage Summer by Rumer Godden. Everyone on BookTube loves this, counts it among their most favorite books, but I just was having difficulty, and I love Rumer Godden. I love her Dollhouse books. I love these vintage editions. I think this is a beautiful book, but I think I've read so much, how do I want to put this? I've read so many British books this year that involve quirky English children on holidays from school that go to some sort of manor house in the country, that I was really fatigued with that trope and that formula. And it's well written, and I'm sure I'll come back to it. And, I had such high hopes for it, and I'm so excited about it. And I love Rumer Godden. I collect Rumer Godden. But again, just like with Lessons in Chemistry, I think I was picking it up at the wrong place and the wrong time. But I am definitely going to give this one another go when I'm more in the mood for it. As I said, I'm just not in the mood for quirky British school children right now. And normally, I'm an Anglophile. I absolutely love all of that, but just kind of tired out with it for right now and want to read something really different. So I put this one aside as well. And then I started to read The Soul of an Octopus by Cy Montgomery, a surprising exploration into the wonder of consciousness. And this was the National Book Award finalist. This is very well written. I love learning about octopi and sea creatures, and I love nature books. And I did learn a lot from this, and it was super well researched, and she definitely knows her stuff. She lived these encounters with octopi. I loved the little, was it on Netflix, I think? My Octopus Teacher. That was fascinating. I watch nature specials all the time on television, documentaries of all kinds, and I love nature writing. That being said, I was expecting it to be, the prose style to be more poetic and more literary, and instead it was very, very journalistic and straightforward. And written almost in, like it was a newspaper article. And I was expecting the prose to be more beautiful and more eloquent. So it's hard to sort of tease that out. That's the kind of nature writing I prefer. But I also love very straightforward journalistic reportage. So if you love very straightforward journalistic reportage, you're going to love this if you love nature and you want to learn more about the octopi. And I loved her delving into the topic of consciousness and what we're aware of and what we feel and how we express things, and the supreme intelligence of the octopus, and why we need to save our oceans, and how much we don't know about not only the universe that's out there in space, but also the universes and worlds beneath our feet and in our oceans. We're only just beginning to tap into what that all means, and the intelligence of sea creatures. So yeah, it's a very worthwhile read. I just thought it was going to be more beautiful writing and more poetic writing, but it's definitely a very good book. So I enjoyed that one. And then what I was left with are the ones that I really think I enjoyed the most, quite honestly. Of course, one of my great joys was rereading Gift from the Sea by Anne Morrow Lindbergh. I super enjoyed this. Now, she wrote this in the late 1950s after a trip to Captiva Island off the coast of Florida, another place where I've actually walked and been. And so she wrote this. She structures it from the seashells that she's collected, and then she sort of muses on each one of those and uses that as a launching point into reflections on the place of women in mid-century society, the roles of women, what women think, what they're looking for, their roles as mothers, as wives. She muses about religion, consciousness, all kinds of things. It's very calming and reflective, and if you want to use the word spiritual, although I'm not quite sure what that means these days to everybody, but spiritual and contemplative. So it's really just one that I return to again and again. Yeah, so it was a great one to take with me to Cape May, and I really enjoyed reading it again. And then in that same vein, with reflections by women in the mid-20th century, I super enjoyed Judith Viorst's It's Hard to Be Hip Over 30. Again, this was a collection of poems from Judith Viorst, and it reflects on marriage and motherhood, and there's a lot of humor in this. Now, Judith Viorst has written many children's books, and she's also been a journalist for many major publications and newspapers. This, I would say, having written my own poetry, studied poetry, taught poetry, published poetry, I would say that as poems, I'm not quite sure how I feel about their artistic value as poems, meaning the writing is being presented in an essential, distilled, crystallized form, and every line matters and is perfectly constructed. I would call this more of a memoir, or fragments of memoir that are written in verse form, but often take on the semblance of prose written in verse lines, meaning that not every line is essential or crystallized as some of the greatest poems in the world are. It's more like prose, but written in poetic form is how I would phrase it. But that being said, it was really, really good. It was amusing. She has lots of marvelous insights, and I can definitely see why this is one of the Persephone book selections. So this was a really great one to carry with me to the beach several days. And then finally, one that was, I think, the biggest surprise of all, because I kept going for these classics and these, literary gems. And the one I think I probably enjoyed more than any of the others was this new book, Ice by Amy Brady. And this is a social history of ice and how the development of carrying ice to subtropic continents and helped with poverty, how instrumental it's been in medicine, refrigeration, how it changed the restaurant industry and the bar industry, how it changed the course of winter sports, and made them all year-round sports. It's just incredible. And she started out on such a simple premise. She noticed that she couldn't find any books on this subject, and so she wrote the book that she wanted to read. And it's really well written. She's got a very accessible style. You'll learn many, 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 many facts that you never knew, and learned about people you never knew about before. And it will really make you think about how something so simple that we probably all take for granted was so critical in the advancement of so many fields in history. So I definitely recommend, if you're a nonfiction fan especially, to add this to your library. Now, this one is also written in a straightforward journalistic style, but I found it lively and full of anecdotes, and that made it an easy read for me. So Ice by Amy Brady. From mixed drinks to skating rinks, a cool history of a hot commodity. And then besides books, I did manage to pick up a few little trinkets and mementos. So as you saw in the video, we had gone to visit a bird conservatory, and I wanted a t-shirt or a sweatshirt while I was on my trip. So I decided to get one from that conservatory. And so the Cape May Bird Observatory has a monarch monitoring program. And so I got this hoodie from there, and I love it. It's very me. I love clothing like this. And yeah, so Cape May is actually a stop-off spot for many migrating butterflies and birds. So, and surprisingly owls, and also hawks and other raptors. So really enjoyed the trip there and got that, as well as a cap. And then additionally, also in a thrift store, I found this purse, and I absolutely love this. This is a basket bag. It has blue gingham, and just look at that. It does have a strap that can be attached to turn it into a shoulder bag. I love any kind of straw purse or wicker bag. I'm really a sucker for those. And it's got this little leather toggle closure here, and I'll just open it up so that you can see the inside, even though it's sort of full of my stuff right now from the trip. I used it as a little extra suitcase. But here is the inside, also lined with the navy gingham, perfect for summer, and lots of little pockets and things in there. So that was really fun as a purchase. And then finally, I got this abalone ring, which I really, really love. And it does have a matching necklace, but it's somewhere in the bag down there, so I'm not going to get it out now, but it matches this. So I loved that as well. And that was the trip. Labor Day is coming up and September. I'm super excited about some of the books I'll be bringing to you in the coming months. I'm already thinking about fall. I'm getting the pumpkin spice mentality now that I'm back from the beach. So this weekend is Labor Day, and then I'm looking forward to bringing you books in September, and already thinking about Tudor-tember, which Lil's Vintage World does every year, and what I'm going to read for that. And then, of course, Victober will be coming up, and there's a lot of other reads I'm interested in as well. Books and Things is doing a year-long, or actually year and a half long, Dickens readathon. I'm not reading all of Dickens, but I may join in November with David Copperfield. It might be October and November, I'm not sure, but we'll see. Anyway, so I've got lots of things to look forward to, and looking forward to enjoying my Labor Day and the very last vestiges of summer. I think tonight we're supposed to have a blue moon, so I'll be looking up in the sky for that. I hope you enjoy the end of summer and your holidays, and let me know what you're going to be reading in the comments below. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.